G'day and welcome to Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today I'm joined by the Astropub and Algared. And I think I'll say straight off the bat, anyone that caught our stream yesterday will know what we're going to talk about today. So
calm. I'm calm.
We're trying to stay calm. Because
I've been breathing. I've been practicing my breathing.
When I have to be the level-headed one, we know that there's going to be a problem.
Yes. So I guess we'll start off with what they've done. So basically, it's a multi-layered thing that they've done. But I think the first one is basically at the moment, if you have a crime stat, you can actually go to a bunker or what do they call it?
UGF.
Underground
facility. Underground facility is what it stands for.
Yeah, and you can remove your crime stats. So obviously, if you have been here for a veteran or been here for a fairly long time, you used to only be able to go to Kareah. And it used to be a huge mission to get there, and you had to get back, and it was a pain in the butt. You had to get armor, you had to get guns. It was a whole pain, the whole rigmarole. And you're still kind of going to get armor and guns, but you can at least don't have to travel all the way to Crusader on the other side of the system. And now they're going back to just Kareah. Oh, but it gets better. They're also upping the security. They're making more guns to shoot you from the turrets. So not only is it like really, really hard, but the chances are once you've got a crime stat, you're pretty much definitely going to prison, right? Because they've just dialed it up to 11. And then on top of that, they're also adding more stuff to prison. But chances are, criminal activity, that probably doesn't need to be filled out. But you could also die in there. You can get your time extended. Am I missing anything, guys?
Yeah, you are.
What am I
Because
missing?
they're not only upping the difficulty in terms of the AI that will be there, but they're also upping it in terms of after you kill so many AI, a beacon goes out calling any PvP players to come and stop the incursion in the station. So you try to get rid of your crime stat and you've got rid of the AI, and now you've got the players coming to kill you as well. So as you said, you are headed to prison, or you're just going to be a level 5 constantly because you're constantly killing people.
Right, does that cover it, Paul? Or do you think?
Yeah, I think about right. I mean, there are some good sides, but as I said in the very beginning, we're going to change. We're going to leave the good side for the end, because we want to make sure that we lay out the issues or talk about the issues that are at hand, and then also say we understand that there's good sides, but there are some critical flaws in CIG's logic in terms of how they're planning on things. So, but yeah, that's just you're now going to be much difficult to get rid of your crime stat. There's only one location. You are almost for certain not going to survive. Unless you are an expert PvP player or you're super lucky and there's no bounty hunters on your server, you level 1 crime stat means you're going to jail.
Yeah, I think, so there's so many problems with this. So you've got problems for current players. But the one thing that I haven't heard anyone else really hit on that me and Algared seemed to grab onto really quickly was new players. And every time I take a new player in there, I would say at least like 8 out of 10 people, they end their session in prison and they just log out and quit because they don't want to deal with the shit that's in there. There's no real instruction of what you got to do. Now, you got to put on your new player hat. We're talking about people that are struggling to even fly ships, and you're asking them to go down a really long passageway and do a vent thing. You're asking them to find a multi-tool that they may have never even seen before in their inventory. They may not have even been in their inventory at that point.
Even get a hacking tool that they have to go and buy, which they probably even haven't.
Well, I'm not even talking about going to do the hacking part yet. Yep. I'm just talking about when they actually eventually get in prison. But you're right. You're right in what you're saying, though. Like, yes, because you've got to find armor, you've got to find the hacking tool. They've only got 5,000 now for UEC, so you're asking them to pay for their that tool with a fifth of all the money they had. And then the other thing is the crime stat, where if the other way to get rid of the crime stat is have $16,000. They don't have $16,000. So they have to do it. They are literally forced into it. Yeah.
And it's important to remember that, I'm sure you already mentioned it, but like how easy it is to get a crime stat by accident.
I haven't said that yet.
Or by a bug.
That's coming. That's coming. I'm holding back my rage, Paul. Don't you worry. If anyone saw my live stream, they know how annoyed I got. Like I was like, and that wasn't last, like the one just gone. That was the week before. So to fill you guys in, just to give you a tip and idea, every time I've ended up in prison, it has been because of a mistake. right? And so what happened was I was flying a Hercules into the hangar, and if you know the Hercules very well, it pretty much fills the hangar, and I was coming in at a perfect straight angle, but then I deployed the landing gear, and it clipped one of the turrets, because if you think about it, they're actually too high, and so basically I clipped it. They started shooting me. Long story short, they did a whole bunch of damage to the ship. I managed to get it stored, came back, repaired it. It cost me 41,000 Alpha UEC to repair it. It cost me 16,000 to remove the fine and the crime stat, and then the ship didn't repair. So it was like $57,000, and it did nothing.
But I thought the other one, the other classic was when you were doing Siege of Orison and it stopped, and all of a sudden you had a crime stat and you woke up in the prison.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. And then I did the venting.
Example.
And then I did the vent. I had 32-minute timer to get out of prison. Did the venting mission, which was the first one was 12 levels deep. The second time I did it was 15 levels deep. But both times it reset my timer. It didn't actually take time off. It reset it to 32 minutes. So I had to sit there on a live stream after doing that. I basically sat there for an hour on a live stream because I couldn't get out, couldn't do anything.
It would have been quicker for you to have just sat there initially for the time rather than the hour and a half you kind of were doing that. So yes.
And both of these stories are not unique. It's not just that Execute is the most unlucky man in the universe. There are plenty of other people out there, probably many of you who are watching, who've experienced a slight mistake resulting in absolute destruction on your part.
So when
I used to love going to Lawville. Now, Old Man Hurston will hate this, but you take your ship into Lawville, the wind blows you a little bit too close, the automatic pilot takes over, it flips your ship onto a landing pad, you get a crime stat for blocking a landing pad, and the security kill you, and you go to prison. And that's because the automatic pilot took over your ship and couldn't fly your ship and crashed it. It happens all the time, it's just a problem.
So this is a multi-stage problem, but I just want to say I forgot what I was going to say now. But it'll come back to me, don't worry. I actually think fundamentally, I'm going to kind of cut to the chase here. I don't think any of these things that they brought in are the problem. I think the problem is inherently the crime stat. And the way I've kind of given the analogy is it's like you drive through a red light and the cop pulls you over and just shoots you in the head. That's how harsh it feels. Because, again, I clipped that turret. If a person had been there, like say there was like a policeman there watching me, shooing me in, he would go, "Oh yeah, don't worry, man. Here, just pay this fine. It's all good." And he would have turned the turrets off and just left me.
Yeah, you've damaged the property. Here's your fine for careless driving. Pay that. You're good. But
so the scale for crime stats essentially needs to be fixed. And I would say the first, I know Paul's going to say the whole crime stat GTA 5-star thing needs to go, and I agree with him. But I'm talking about a fix that can be implemented like that and change it. So I think the first two levels shouldn't actually give you a shooting status, and I also think it should be scaled for new players. So I think the first star should be like maybe 1,000 Alpha UEC, because that's what I was trying to remember. They only start with roughly 5,000 Alpha UEC. They can't even pay the fine, so they are literally forced to go to jail. And in the case of what's about to come, with now you have to go to Kareah, they are literally forced into PvP. They are forced. Right,
and this is people who they only have a pistol, and they can't afford to get the bigger weapons, or they can't afford to get the armor, and they've probably got an Aurora.
I've actually just realised they're not even forced into PvP because they can't spend the $9,000 to buy a Tiger Claw.
Yeah,
so they are literally they're literally forced into jail.
Forced to go to jail. Yeah.
For me, it comes down to that new player experience.
Yeah.
The new player experience is screwed by these changes, and you look at the changes and you go, yeah, they're great as you're looking at from an experienced player point of view, and those who like certain types of gameplay will certainly like aspects of the changes. If you're a career criminal and you want to do the living prison type stuff, the new changes really do flesh that out and do give you that opportunity to do that. The career thing does add extra gameplay in that end, but for the new player, it really makes it nasty.
And here's the other problem with that whole thing is that this also doesn't even give a good solid PvP experience, because people will cheese this. This is the highlight of Charles Entertainment cheesing this thing, because all that will do is we'll send everyone who wants to PvP to Kareah. So as second anyone shows up, they're gonna get killed, no matter who they are.
I actually think it's deeper than that.
And it's even worse. Let me finish up real quick. On top of that, anybody who wants to use the most cheesiest game mechanics, like right now, if they don't fix the issue with undodgeable torpedoes, someone's just going to use an Eclipse at minimum power mode and nuke people as they come in, and they won't be able to survive. And they'll just, and especially if they know that these people are wanted, it's just cashed. We're done. I've got money because I can kill people. And it's the most lazy and boring experience for PvP. It's not engaging at all.
So make sure you've got call to arms up first.
Yeah.
So to write on the back of what you said there, Paul, there's actually two types of PvPers. There's and this unfortunately appeals to the lower denomination. So they're the griefers, the gankers, the trolls. That's who this appeals to. If you actually
the idiot PvPers, as I call them.
Yeah. But then you've actually got the people that I've talked to, then they don't want it either, because there's no skill in it. It's literally noob stomping is what I was quoted, right? Because they're not there. They don't want to fight you. They just want to get rid of their crime stat and go home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I recognize the problem. CIG cannot balance a game off of bugs. Right? There are bugs, there are other issues. They cannot balance around bugs, because those things shouldn't exist in the first place. Yep. And the problem is that even if the game was perfect and there were no bugs and all these things, as you said, the criminal system is far too harsh in terms of the way it's tuned. It's not going to give engaging experience. It's not going to give them the data they want for this sort of experience. Exactly. And the problem, and there are other solutions to this issue.
Yes,
that is the main focus. I think is that we're all trying to say is that this is not going to give what CIG wants, and it feels odd because this is almost like CIG. Do you not do any player and like behavior analysis? This is something that has been happening in games for centuries, for decades,
for centuries,
Well, I mean,
exaggeration, not meant to fool. Yeah.
Have you been playing some croquet that we need to know about back in the 5th century?
Hey, I mean, honestly, gamings have been around since before, since writings existed.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've been analyzing game theory for so long, and part of game theory is understanding player mentality. And there are some basic things, like if someone like us can come up with it in 2 seconds, who don't have degrees in gaming, don't actively develop games. Well, I know X used to, but then we like. This is something that becomes glaringly obvious. There's something that they've overlooked. It's cool. It's cool as heck, but there are some issues that they need to address.
So it is clearly for testing, right? And the example I gave to you guys before was like, it's like when we kept getting intercepted all the time. But the intercepting thing was to make sure it was working and all that, and that's right. And it's kind of like when we speculate, we always do it in a group so you have self-checks and stuff like that. But this feels like it's been put in and they don't have all the data points they need to be collecting. So it's like I said, like if you take the example I gave where I clipped the turret, to them in their data points, that guy clipped a turret. He was attacking the turret. He deserved to be punished, and we gave him the fine. But that's a robot, right? Where, like I said, if there was a human there, or a police officer watching me, he would have gone, oh, yeah, man, that was an honest mistake. Yeah, no problem. Here, pay the fine. Oh, it's not even a $16,000 fine. It's a $500 fine, that type of thing. And there's a separation between, when things become like a big company becomes, like out of sight, out of mind, and they basically, they dehumanize things. It's a little bit like that.
Clients are no longer people, they're numbers, and
it's a little bit like that because they don't have all the data points, and I like I said, the crime stat is just, it's a crime stat problem. That's been a problem since that thing was put in. And I think it was put in to deliberately send people to jail. So again, they had people going to jail to test the system. But now they're putting this in. If they just totally left that out and didn't say, oh yeah, by the way, we're dialing back the crime stat system, that would be the easiest fix to this in hell. If they'd mentioned that, no, we wouldn't even be doing this show.
No.
My problem with this as well is the fact that it's only one way.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this earlier. You know, it should be like a D&D module where you've got your encounters, and you can go and guns blazing and kill the bad guys, or you can use intimidation or diplomacy or bribery. I'd like to see options where it's not just PvP, where you could go and bribe a cop and get the uniform and then go in and do it, or go to another facility because you've bribed the cop and do it, or whether you use intimidation or I think you've got a crook. You know, it needs something else other than just go in, kill the guards. Even if it's go in and subdue the guards rather than kill them.
Multiple options. They take a page from their own book with Squadron 42 and make multiple approaches.
I think we will get that eventually. But I think obviously you got to remember it's a testing environment, so they've just like tuned everything into this one thing. But like anyone will tell you, it's a backward step because like how annoying it was when you had to go all the way to Kareah. So if you also look at again going back to the new player thing, if you're in an Aurora, you accidentally touch the ground in ArcCorp as you're trying to land, you then have to fly all the way to Kareah and back afterwards. That's a half an hour round trip. So look at the punishment level here. You've also got to go spend $9,000 on a Tiger Claw. You have to buy armor, and you know that obviously varies. But like it's generally more expensive than the $16,000 fine. But how do you pay the $16,000 fine now? You can't, because everywhere you go, you're going to be shot. So you are forced to go to Kareah. And you'll also have to go to Grimhex. So basically, the only place you can go is Grimhex. Actually, now I think about it, you could go to Grimhex and pay the $16,000 fine.
Yes,
but then you've got to fly all the way, and then you've got to fly all the way back.
And it's great if you're a solo player, but if you're playing in a group and that happens, God help you. That's forget your group, because
I actually do have that written down. Algared is events, because the Australian event server, and I think. I stopped going to the events because almost every time I went to the event, I'd somehow accidentally stuff up, like clip in a turret or automatically driven in the ground by the auto land or something like that. And the event, like by the time I got rid of the crime stat, the event would only go for say 2 hours. I'd have missed half of it. And then if they're in groups, there was no room in the group, or they had odd numbers or something like that, and I'd miss out. And I kept missing out, so I just stopped going. And it was all because of the crime system.
We had a similar thing with Crux Cup this year. So Crux Cup this year was flying around the track at Orison. We had someone who had clipped the one of the buildings. It blown up. I think they caused someone else to blow up as well. They got a crime stat. They went to prison, and they were able to get out fairly quickly. But they were still 15, 20 minutes out of the event.
Isn't that a punishment enough that you've got to wait for your ship to respawn and you've died? So if you think about it, you've got to, like, say you die at Horizon, you've got to go back to your hab, you've got to travel back to the station, so there's 5 minutes. You've also got to, like, some ships, like I fly Redeemer a lot, 32-minute wait. Right? And it gets worse. When you go to prison now, your ship gets stored at Klesha, so you have to reclaim the ship every single time as well. So I get massively punished. So it takes like a half an hour of my time, and then it'll wait another half an hour to get the ship back. Like, it's just like I know these systems have to come in, but it's very cart before the horse.
Yeah, there are ways they could mitigate this. Like you said, they can change the system. My proponent was just make more. Don't let every single planet have a UGF that can hack your crime stat away, but have one or two other options, because that will also filter out the griefers. So they'll have to go to different places, because they'll still go to Kareah, but now Kareah becomes a spot where if you're going there, you don't have to go there for your crime stat. You can go there for the other missions, and that's what really, because that alone, a free jump town, that's basically, because that's the other thing to add on that we forgot to mention.
Mining, isn't it?
If you go to there and you kill all of the guards, one of the guards will spawn a tablet. It will have a little notepad, like a little key code, and then you can get access to the contraband area. And type in the keypad and it'll give you drugs. It'll just start giving you drugs. It's sometimes not always drugs, but it'll give you other things as well that you can then use to sell to make money. It's Jump Town, but in a miniature form, in an always online form. It's kind of a baby Jump Town.
In fact, it's better than that because it's Jump Town that's player triggered.
Yeah.
You go there, you kill the guards, you get that guard, you get his tablet, and you trigger that Jump Town experience.
Yeah,
and
because now other players will be given missions to come find you and kill you, and that's enough. That enough alone could get people to come to Kareah and fight it out and have fun, and it'll bring the people who want to be there. But the thing about Jump Town is that Jump Town is boring if everyone is forced to do it because you have a crime stat.
Well, I think it compounds the issue, Paul, because not only have you got new players going there that just want to get in and out, you've now got people that actually want to go there to make money. So it's just it's bottlenecked the entire issue.
But
it's causing more issues than it solves.
It's kind of like instead of being two separate areas, they've forced them into one area because they've essentially take Jump Town and then all the underground bunker security facilities and just merge them into this hyper dense area. And it's like, because the other thing is, if you pick up one of those contrabands, you can instantly get a crime stat. So you can literally actively turn yourself into a bad guy just by picking up that contraband.
So you're a new player who's finally got there. You've managed to get in. You've managed to get your crime stat removed by fluke because you got there and there were no security guards. And then you're walking along and you see this awesome package on the ground and you go, oh, what's that? And pick it up and bang, crime stat again because you've just picked up contraband. Awesome. And then a law-abiding player comes along and shoots you in the back because you're a criminal now.
And I have to say, I like the changes that they're making. I like them. They are good for PvP. They're good for the game. I think it'll create engaging experiences, and I think that's what most people are looking at. And I'm a big fan of Kareah when it was in this heyday where everyone went there to fight. The problem comes down to they are focusing their efforts on a very specific set of players. And those specific set of players do need some attention and love, but they shouldn't be overriding the entire game. Yes, CIG, I know you need to test out your new prison missions, but sending everyone to prison isn't going to be a way to test that problem. All you're going to do is make a bunch of people log out for the day and not come back in. Now, I'm not saying the sky is falling, and I don't think anyone would say that, this is going to cause so many problems. But if you are legitimately trying to accomplish a better new player experience, this is like taking that idea, turning it into a ball, and throwing it into the trash, because fuck your new player experience.
No, Paul. Because Paul, to go back to the title that we've got, it's like taking that experience and putting it into a blender. Yeah. And mixing it up and splattering the new players against the brick wall.
Yeah.
But look, I really like this idea in terms of it being great for getting rid of the level 5, the top crime stat.
Yeah.
But for getting rid of level 1, level 2, or level 3, it's just too much. I'd love to see someone in the live stream yesterday suggested in the chat that it'd be great to see community service jobs.
Yes.
You do your first crime and your first punishment is community service. Pick up all those hospital gowns and put them in the bin.
That's actually what it ended up being at the end, wasn't it, Algared? So the first one was like a low-level fine that's like 1,000 now for UEC. The second one was a community service thing. So it's like a mission where you're going to deliver some food to an old lady or something like that. And that just removes it. And it's not a fine. You just have to do a mission to get rid of it.
You just have to do X number of jobs to get rid of it. Yep.
And both the fine and the mission had to be completed in a timely manner. So maybe they give you an hour, 2 hours to do those, right? The third one was where they start shooting at you. So that is technically the level one we have right now. And then the fourth one was just an escalation of that so it sends you to some bunker. So like you could still have all the old ones, but they are basically... Excuse me, I got a bit of indigestion. Just the turrets, and then the fifth one is Kareah. So where it's the turrets, it's the AI, and it's the full blammo, right? So so going back to what you were saying, Algared, you've got to step it up, because at the moment it's just 100% on, and there's no off or on. It's literally whether you're a level 1 star or a 5-star, it's the same punishment. There's no grey. It's black. It's just black and white.
Look, I remember when Kareah used to be the only place. If I had a crime stat, there were times I'd go to Kareah because I was with friends and we'd decide, we'll do Kareah. We'll take care of any people who come or PvP, and we'd go and have fun. But if I was by myself and I didn't want to do the PvP aspect, I would literally just go to Olisar. Security would come. I'd turn off my ship, let them blow me up, and I'd wake up in prison.
Yeah.
Literally, that was how I'd get rid of it.
Yeah, I think that, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's how most people are going to handle this.
And then I'd log off for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's what CIG wants.
Really?
Because, well, they got brand new prison systems that they've.
But the problem is,
but they're not going to interact with the prison system. They're going to literally just log off. And I would not be surprised, and I said this to Algared, I said the only fix I've seen, if they do nothing right, if they do absolutely nothing, and I don't know if they're thinking of this as well, but I would buy a secondary account and just log on to the second account. Because at least I can play on that. No, but that's a fix. Like, if you have a secondary account, like as a veteran, most of us have secondary accounts. I think that's what most of us are going to do. We're just going to log on to the other account and fly around for 15, 20 minutes or however long the punishment is, and then log off and then log back on to the other one. It's just not going to engage. You cannot force engagement. You just can't.
No.
People check out. That's just how humans are.
The second you try and enforce it, you actually lose the players for that period of time.
Yep.
They just say, no, I'm not doing it.
And I like up until now, every new player that I've helped and they've ended up in jail, they just log out in frustration. And now you are literally forcing it. And now I think about it, it really hasn't changed. Like when I work back the crime stat system for a new player, it's been that way all this time. That's why there's been so much frustration. I can't believe that they haven't seen that crime stat problem and fixed it. And it's a really simple fix. It's just lower the first couple of levels. Like, obviously, it was turned up to get people into prisons, but how long ago was prison? 2 years ago? And it's never been turned down?
Yeah.
How has someone missed that?
I would like to, and you look at we talk about the new player experience, and we talk about the new players getting into their ships and flying their ships and learning how to fly their ships and being hopeless at it. But the new player experience really goes even beyond that. Look at how many new players, you're in a game and you see someone saying, where's my ship? Where am I? And they say, I'm a new player. And you say, okay, where are you? And they say, I'm in the orange place. Everything's orange. And they really don't know where they are. Everything's blue.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I would like you guys, if you have a family member, to sit them down and see how often they end up in prison. Because I think you'd find it's astronomically high. Oh, yeah. Because most people, like some people haven't played first-person shooters or anything, so they can't even control the ship properly. They get in and they move the mouse, and then all of a sudden the ship rolls and bang, and they crash into the I've seen people do that. They literally just flip straight over, explode, and they're in prison. It's that simple. And then they're like, "What did I do wrong?" And then how do I get out of here? And it takes them an hour to get back to where they was. Oh, not only that, they spawn at a completely different station, have to claim their ship because they were at. I'm just going to pick on Port Alice. I know they wouldn't be there now. But you get the whole point. Like, it just removes them from where they were, and it's completely jarring. I know we're in a testing environment, but at some point, someone has to go, can I just have a reset button or a skip button? Can I get out of prison so I can at least go back and teach myself what I did wrong? I know it's a testing environment, and I know someone there's going, yeah, but veteran players will just exploit that and they'll never go to prison. That's fine, but maybe new players get like a 2-month window, like from when their account's created or when they first purchase the. I don't know. What do you do?
That's just an overcomplication of the issue. Yeah. The answer is fix the criminality system or don't make it so it's the only place you can get hacks. Those are the simple fix that they could do right now. And with the resources they have that's stretched thin right now because everyone's doing Squadron, that's what I would suggest. And I just find it weird that CIG doesn't seem to want to, or it's weird that CIG didn't confirm any of that because, like I said, we wouldn't have had this entire video if they had confirmed that.
Well, this video could age very badly if they come out and say that.
So, in a sense, we say thank you, CIG, for giving us content. But but look, I think I agree with you because I really do like, even though I came down really heavily yesterday and I was very negative, and I am still negative in terms of the way it's being implemented. But when you look at the actual individual aspects of this is great. It's great for the top end. It is really great for top-end PvPers who want to have somewhere where there's a challenge, or for crew criminals who want that challenge of getting that jump down 2, or getting I want to wipe out my crime stat, and if that's the only place you can do it, level 5 crime stat, awesome. But my problem is it's the only place for level 1s and level 2s and level 3s, and that is the issue.
One thing
you can even have the same thing, combine that idea where it's like you still have UGFs that are for everything up to level 3.
Yeah.
And then at level 4 and up, it's just like, you got to go to Kareah. It's the only place that has the authorization. And now you've got people who are level 5 because it's easy to get level 1, 2, or 3. Difficult to go beyond 3 to 4 and 5.
You've got the career criminal to really do that, haven't you?
So two things that we haven't talked about is it does feel very content creatory, as in a lot of streamers are going to absolutely love this. It creates content for them. I can see that. And the other thing that you brought up as well that we haven't talked about is that we're locked in for a whole patch like this, and it's a fairly big patch. So we're going to be stuck with this for a while. I just so hope that they do the crime stat thing, because if they don't, it's not going to be an enjoyable couple of months.
I think the easiest one is, as Paul said, just this is only for level 4, 5, and you've still got the underground facilities, and they are for levels 1, 2, and 3, and that doesn't change. You can do that without even changing any, as I can on a non-developer mind, but it seems you could do that without having to add anything, without having to add the customer service missions or the community service missions or.
Well, they haven't stated that. They've kind of basically said all the underground bunker stuff is gone. So it makes me think that they haven't done that. But the only redeeming thing, which they haven't talked about, is if they've actually tweaked the crime stats. And they haven't done that in 2 years. So I'm going to say I'm a man of little faith at this point.
No, look, I agree. It appears they haven't. But I'm saying what they could, the easiest fix would be to say this is level 4, 5. And we've still got the underground facilities because they've got them in the file somewhere. They could put them back, put them in, and just dial it. So, okay, you can only do level 1, 2, or 3. At those facilities, you've got to go to Kareah if you're a career criminal and you want to do stuff. And
even just
that would be the solve, wouldn't
it? Even just say level 5 and it would be fixed. The reality is that, and I'm sure there are people in the comments saying this is, or you're being overreactive. And the problem is that CIG gave this cool idea without giving any context. So we have to assume, we don't assume malice, we assume incompetence at this point, where it's like, this has not been fixed in so many years. This has been the root of the problem. CIG doesn't want to fix it. So we're just assuming that they're not going to fix it for this next patch. They could, but CIG needs to be communicative about that to assuage, because we're not the only ones who have thought about this. There's so many people I've seen people who just said, I'm just not going to do group gameplay anymore, because if I'm in a group and someone accidentally shoots a guard, now they get a level 2 crime stat, it's just cool. Shoot them, kill them, and move on. Like, if it's red, it's dead. And that just kills anyone's experience, because it becomes such a pain in the ass to do anything once someone has a crime stat, and it's so easy to get a crime stat to a degree that's just unplayable.
You also got guilt by association. If they get on a ship, you get shot. Like this. It's just overtuned, and it's been that way for 2 years. And they've got those data points, but from their perspective, you bad man, you did something wrong, you deserve to be shot. But they're not looking at the cause and effect, right? Yep. So as I said, it comes down to data points. And quite honestly, if it was just the level 1 star alone, I reckon 90% of the problems would dissipate. Because it's that low level. Like it's literally like, it's like a dystopian universe, like where that Star Trek episode, any crime was death. That's what it feels like, right? It's just super overtuned, and I
wonder whether, like, we talk about your Siege of Orison experience, and I remember on that episode, you healed the guy who was lying there injured, and one of our viewers said, you should have killed him. He was a criminal. He'd said, I was killing people as they come, and he didn't have a green triangle, which meant he was a crim. And the fact that you helped him, I wonder if that gave you that guilt by association, which is why you, when it ended, you went straight to prison.
No. I thought he said he was helping people as they came in, but maybe I heard it differently.
Yeah. Well, I didn't quite hear, but certainly one of our viewers said he was shooting people as they came.
Okay.
But they said he didn't have a green triangle, so he was clearly a crim. I don't remember. I just remember seeing it in chat. I don't recall seeing that. But because you healed him, if that gave you that guilt by association, that would at least explain why you suddenly appeared in the prison. Didn't solve the issue you had in spending an hour and a half trying to do a 30-minute crime time. But yeah.
So I think we'll wrap it up here then. I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments below. Yes, I know this is early days. We could be overreacting, and yes, it could have already been fixed. But as Paul said, we have to assume that crime stat hasn't been touched in 2 years, and they could have turned that down a long time ago. They've left it tuned up, obviously, because they want people to go to prison. And I now think that's the whole reason why this is happening, because they want more people to go to prison to test the new shit, right? And
we're not getting enough people going to prison to test the stuff we want to test.
Not going to have the
Let's send everyone to prison.
Not going to have the desired effect that they're hoping for. Anyway, but yeah, Algared, what would you like to hear in the comments below?
I suppose I'd like to hear what people think. Do they think our suggestions for how you could actually make this really valuable for all players would work? Or do you think that we are overreacting and it's just not suck it up, princess, build a bridge, get over it, and get good?
What about yourself?
So I suppose that's...
What about yourself, Paul?
I'd like to hear from the PvP players, the ones who this is supposed to be for. Do you like this idea? After you hear our concerns, do you think it's just a nothing burger? Do you think it is legitimately something to handle? Because there's plenty of PvP players out there that are looking for a good fight, and I don't know if they're looking for Joe Schmo newbie walking in being like, oh no, I got to get rid of my crime stat, and just getting aced from their expert players in the future. But we could be wrong. Is this a good idea or not?
Paul, I've just had an idea. Maybe good PvP players will actually be there to kill the trolls to help the new players and people trying to get rid of their crime stat. So it does...
We can hope.
Yeah, maybe that's how it'll work out. So they'll actually be there like, right, we're here to kill the trolls. Bang. And they just go in there and take them out. Yeah, that could be really cool, actually.
So I suppose the other thing I'd like to hear...
Hang on. Crack teams that go in to actually, help the new players get rid of that could be a thing. That's a whole new mission type on its own. Anyway, sorry, Algared.
I suppose I'd like to build on that. I'd like to hear from the PvPers themselves. Those of you who like, what type of PvP do you like? Are you the type that likes plucking the wings off dying butterflies and the newbies and stomping them out? Do you think this plays into that aspect, or are we overreacting? Tell us what you think, because I don't mind PvP, but I'm certainly not a PvP player in that dedicated sense. So
I think what you're trying to say, Algared, is no one wants to be forced to do something. That's just in a nutshell. So yeah. All right, with that, he's been Algared. He's been the Astropub.
He's been Paul.
I've been
That's
Execute.
been Execute.
We'll catch you in the next one.